schedule as we get ready to move forward here. And we're going to hear safety play from our safeties coach, Coach Worthington. Coach Worthington's been with us since we've been at the program. We started at 22. Coach Worthington has a wealth of knowledge, plenty of different stops along the way. He's been in North Carolina. I'm not going to go through all the places that he's been because I might leave out somewhere. But tremendous experience in a lot of different places. And Coach Worthington, I like to call him a volume guy. And volume meaning being able to handle and do a lot of different things. And he does them all and does a great job. And then when it comes to safety play, especially, works hand in hand with our defense because our safeties, run support, they're so important. And then, being a run support person and then being a guy that plays the pass, they have to have a versatile skill set. And Coach does an outstanding job in his preparation, getting these guys ready to play. They're a big part of what we do defensively. So let's welcome Coach Worthington.
Well, thank you. I'm just happy to have the opportunity to share, and just as we all grow through our coaching, procession, just getting opportunities like this to just share our knowledge and just to receive knowledge from all the other coaches that are presented, just always growing and learning. So just a little bit of background. Like Coach said, I've been at a lot of stops, so I'm a big family person, so I got a big family, a lot of us, 9 that I know of. Still don't know, but that was out there. But my fiance just got engaged in December. Different people that have been along my trail of different schools, some of my teammates, and just winning and just being all over the place. So excited about the future, what we have going on this season, and all these stops in the past just feed into what we're doing right now. So a little background: I was raised in South Jersey, Camden County, right outside of Philly. So Camden, Philly. Most of the people from this side don't come across that bridge. I'll just say that. So I was born in Ohio, raised in Jersey. Was a part of state championship team in high school. Going through my college career, got an opportunity to be one of those Charlotte Touchdown Club, Bronco University Award members. I was an all-region safety. Graduated from Jcsu Smith in 2004. Went to the University of Iowa. I was a recruitment assistant up there. So learned a lot about just organization, function, just how to do business in a certain way from being there. So we also got up to number 3 in the country, so we were really good when I was there. Been a part of some championship teams, from high school, national championship in college, in the top seed in the playoffs in D2. So like Coach said, I've been well-traveled, been around a lot. So I'm proud to be a part of this defensive staff. So I'm going to say it because I know Coach Tripp probably won't. I think this is the best defensive staff in D2 football, bar none. I think we have the best D staff probably in HBCU, period. Coach Tripp is, as the leader of us on our side of the ball, puts us in position to be successful, runs the room. I love all the guys that we work with. We're all talented in our own ways and different things that we do. So I think with us all being together, bar none, we're the best D staff in the country. So rankings, we've been pretty good on defense, rush defense, total defense. We've been number 1 in the country. We've also been number 1 in the CI. So this past season, I think we were 1 in everything, but third down conversions, I think we were tied. And then in 23, we were 1 in total defense, scoring defense, all those things. So some national rankings. So the last 2 years being 1 and number 6, it tells you a lot about how we do things on defense just on an everyday basis and just being consistent in our endeavors. So in the DB room, one of the big things I talk about is having building block for success and having proper preparation. So all of our guys have a certain skill set, they have certain tools, and we just try to keep giving them more tools that they can use when the situation calls for it. So my philosophy just with the safeties, All right, we're going to have a mentality to dominate the passing game. We're going to be preparing our footwork, our technique, and our effort. And we're going to impose our will physically and mentally on our opponents. So that means we're going to line up properly, consistently. We're going to be on our leverage consistently. When we get the points of contact, those guys are going to feel us. They're going to know that we're there. All right, we're going to impose our will. We're going to separate, be elite at the creation of turnovers by, making plays on the ball, separating the ball carrier from the ball. We want to be sure tacklers. So when we get to positions to make tackles, we want to be sure tacklers. We don't want to miss a lot of tackles. All right, we also want to demonstrate that we have a strong football IQ in just our play. So we're going to be on leverage. We're going to squeeze guys to our help. We're going to do all those type of things. And that stuff should show up on film. So we have certain goals and standards in the room, and we talk about these things on a consistent basis. So our on the field standards, we want to compete every snap. So whether that is on a deep ball, run game, we want to compete. We want to get to the ball. All right, we want those guys to know that our presence is there. We want to play full speed from snap to whistle. We don't want to have any lows. So whatever is our full speed is. If you're a 4.8 guy, you should be running 4.8 every play. All right, so we want to be full speed. All right, we want to respect the game. We want to have elite sportsmanship. So that goes into all things that we do. Respecting the game also means how I prepare. I want to be, the best craftsman that I can in my position. So we always want to do that. We want to know a little bit of history in our position. Who were some of the greats that came before us in our position? All right, so especially during spring development, we'll watch clips of different guys. We'll watch clips of Ed Reed. We'll watch clips of Rob Wilson, Ronnie Lott, different guys, so that we can take different things from our game and they have an understanding of who are some of the greats that have gone before us. So we want to physically impose our will on our opponents. That's a big thing with us. We want to make people feel us when we come down and make tackles, when we reroute, all those things. And also, last thing, we want to contest every pass all the way through the ground. So as he's going to the ground, if I'm still ripping, tugging, pulling, and that ball comes out, that's an incomplete ball. So we never want to give up on a play. We always want to contest every opportunity we get. All right. So our performance goals, things that we want to do. We don't want to have any blown coverages. All right. So we want to have an elite knowledge and execute our alignment, our assignment, and our technique. We want to establish a premier level of playing speed. We want to see on the film that our guys are playing fast, full speed. We want to see that. We want to be physical tacklers. When those guys are getting into the alley, we want them looking for the safeties. Where are they coming from? Do I need to get out of bounds? Do I need to just get down? We want to see that. We want to impose that. We want to be consistent with our footwork. We don't want to have any wasted movement. So we don't want to take a whole bunch of extra steps when we're breaking, when we're triggering in the run game. We want to be nice and smooth, and we want to be able to break without any extra steps. All right? And we want to make plays on the ball. So we want to create takeaways. We want to get 2 interceptions. We want to force a fumble, or we want to recover a fumble every game. So that's our goal. All right. And then lastly, we want to have over a 3.0 GPA in our room. So safeties are guys that are making a lot of checks. We got to know where the strength is. We got to know where our receiver threats are. We got to know gaps. We got to know where the front is. We have to know where the linebacker's fit is to get in our fit. So if our guys aren't very smart, they're going to have problems making those checks. So we want to make sure that our guys are having the opportunity to be competitive when they get out of school and job. All right, so a big thing with me is note taking. So when we go through our installs, our guys know this is how their notes should look. They should have every position drawn. They should have their fit in there. They should have their read, their key, all that stuff as they go through their notes. We do notebook checks. I've been a teacher in my career, so we have exit tickets sometimes where, hey, I need to see your notebook when you're walking out the room. If you don't have what you need to have in there, how are you supposed to learn our defense? How are you supposed to know the checks? How are you supposed to function if you haven't taken a proper note? So I'm really big on that. We go through that every semester, just making sure there's a groundwork of understanding of what your notebook should look like and understanding what things should be in there. So these are some more of our behavioral standards. We don't want to have any unexcused absences from class, any latenesses, anything like that. We don't want to have any unexcused meeting or football activity absences or latenesses. All right, and the next thing goes into that, respectful communication with whoever we're interacting with, whether that's a professor, the cleaning people in the building, whether it's another student. We want to make sure our communications are proper. All right, we want to maintain daily dialogue with your position coach. So I call it 5-minute rule. So if I text you, I expect a text back within 5 minutes. If I call you, I expect a call back within 5 minutes. Now, during class hours, I'm not texting them information that they need to respond to. So you're usually just, hey, this is what time the meeting is, this is what time this is, so it doesn't need a response. But if it's something that does need a response, I know what their schedules are, I should be getting a text or a call back. All right, so that's also part of making sure there's no unexcused absences. So if we're in that constant communication, I should know you got a doctor's appointment, you got tutoring with your professor, you got whatever. I should know that beforehand, not after. All right. And then we want to embody what a golden bull is. So being an alum, I'm big on that. We want to make sure that we're positive role models in the community and we're doing the right things on and off the field. So body mechanics is big. In safety play, we just want to make sure that we have fundamentals on how we move. So this is kind of like our kind of Bible of how we move and how we interact. All right, so the first thing is we want to get from point A to point B without any wasted movement. So in our stance, we want to make our steps count. We don't want to take extra steps. We don't want to step behind ourselves. We don't want to cross our body, different things like that. All right, so primarily in the secondary, we're dealing with backwards and side-to-side movement. That's most of what we do. We're pedaling, we're skating, we're going side to side, we're going backwards. All right. And we also want to be able to cover how we break down under control from an all-out sprint. So if I'm on the roof at 10 and it's a sweep outside zone and I'm triggering, I have to be able to sprint to get to it and also be under control when I get to the ball so that I can make a tackle. So that's how we go through. So in our progressions, we're always going to start with our stance. All right, then we're going to work through backpedaling. We have to be comfortable backpedaling. We have to know where to plant our foot at, all right, as we move and as we get depth. So we got to be comfortable in our pedal. We're going to go through braking and driving. So we're going to go through braking at different angles, driving on the ball, all those things. All right, then we're working on taking our lateral shuffles, our skates, all those things as part of our shuffle progression that we do. All right, then we're working block defeat. So we're working getting off of blocks, snatching, and all those things. Working on tackling, we try to incorporate some kind of tackling drill every day if we can. All right. As safeties, we're not in press pretty much ever. So we're not going to focus a lot on pressing. So that's really the last part of how our teaching is. All right. So safeties, I'm not going to go through all this. It's a lot, but we want to make sure that we have a good stance. We start with our inside foot up, that's closest to the ball. All right, we want to be in a comfortable stance. We want to be able to get into a good crouch, but then also have enough power from our base that we can move. All right, so basically we're about shoulder width apart with our feet. We have a good bend. We're almost at a 45-degree angle with our back. We want to get our chest over our knees. We want to have our chin up. We want to be able to see through the deepest back, the tackle, and always out to the number one. So we have to have peripheral vision in our stance so we can see everything. So the weight distribution, we want to have most of our weight on the balls of our feet so that we can move and do what we need to do. All right, so backpedaling is a big part of it. So I go through a progression of just getting those guys comfortable with where their feet are supposed to be. We're planting under our hip, we're pressing out, and we want to maintain balance. So we're going to watch a clip, and this goes through the progression of how we do it. So we're starting off slow, making sure that they're comfortable with where their feet are being planted and getting used to that. A lot of times guys will overstride in their pedal, so then when they end up planting the drive, they're overstriding, so now they're falling, they're off balance, so we want to make sure that they're planting under their hip, so as we're going back, we're able to plant and then drive and then gain forward. So you see going through the progression, we speed it up as we go. We work through 25%, about 50%, about 75%, and then full speed. And that's kind of a off-season thing that we really do during the spring development and early part of camp. And then going through breaks and drives. So we're going to do our pedal breaks. We're going to pedal, we're going to brake. Again, planting under our hip. And then as we brake, we want to make sure our eyes are going to our target, our foot is going to our target in our second step, and now we're driving to it. So if my eyes aren't looking at where I'm going, my body's going to be pulled off a line. So we want to make sure all those things are tied together as we plant and as we change direction. So that's the biggest thing with that. We'll see some clips on that a little bit later. We're going to work on all our different turns. So 180 turns, 90 breaks, 45-degree angles. So all those things, that safety coming from cover 2, cover 4, and then when we're in the middle of the field, all those breaks are a little bit different. So we're going to do those on a day-to-day basis so they're comfortable opening up, still seeing what they need to see. And then also coming back down the route tree, which we'll get to in a second. So these are some of our daily drills. So we do our inch off. So this is, we're starting at 10 for the most part in our alignment. So as those guys are getting to us, we're starting to give ground so that we can stay on our leverage. We get our feet active so we don't get run by. So our inch offs are really short steps. So they're, 3-6 inches. Really, that's about all you're going, because I want to be able to get my foot back in the ground really quick. If he's running a dig and I'm at 10 and maybe I gave a little bit of ground, I got to be able to get my foot back in the ground and drive on it. If he's breaking at 10 on a corner or on a post, I have to be able to get my foot in the ground quick so I can get on his hip and do what I need to do. So these inch offs are really quick steps. All right, get our feet moving, get us active. Also allows us to go either way. So those are some things that we do. A lot of our drills we'll do in a stack. So guys will be stacked, it might be 3 deep. It allows everybody to get all those reps at the same time. So it allows me to get more in Indy. Like Coach Lott said yesterday, we learn to do less with more with less, right? So we might only have 10 minutes for Indy. I gotta get a lot of drills in. I gotta get a tackling drill in. I have to get a block destruction drill in. I gotta get a reroute drill in. So how do I get all that stuff in that 10 minutes? So I'm gonna stack those reps. So it might take me 2-3 minutes to get through all these, but everybody's getting those max amount of reps. All right, so in the secondary, we talk about the route tree just like the receivers talk about the route tree. So as we're going through the DB tree, we have to know how to plant and break on all those routes. So if I'm in cover 1, I have to know how many steps, how many pedals am I taking if he's running a 3-step slant. I should know it's a pedal weave drive just off of how many steps that the route is. So I know once he gets past there, he can't run a slant anymore. Now I'm looking at the intermediate routes. So how many more pedals do I have to go before it's time for me to break on that dig, break on that comeback, all those things. So we're gonna go through that footwork on how we break on digs, curls, outs, posts, corners, all those things. So it takes a little bit to install it as we go through, but once we get it, those guys can go through it pretty quick in pre-practice. So just base alignment. So in the secondary, we have to know where everybody lines up at, especially at safety, because everybody's in front of us. So there's a lot of times where there may be a gap that's open, or even if there's a linebacker in the wrong spot, I'm still going to tell my safety, that's your fault. He's lined up in front of you. You have 2 gaps open. So you want 600 pounds coming to hit you, or you going to fix that linebacker, you're going to fix that 3-tech. He shouldn't be in the 0 shade. He's supposed to be in the 3 on that tight end side. You know that because we've gone through it. So why are you letting him line up there? Because you're going to end up having to fit them 2 gaps that are open. So we're going to go through that stuff so they know where their fit is, they know where everybody else's fit is, so we can get to where we can get to. All right, so these are just daily coaching points. We're always going to have a start and a finish out of our drills. So when we do a drill, they're going to know that they need to finish full speed through this certain point. So that emphasizes our playing speed. We're going to emphasize our transition. So redirecting our eyes, going through our different reads, going through different drills. So certain drills where we're rolling down and we have a curl flat, they need to know where their eyes should be looking. Where's my first read? Where's my run pass key? All right, and then where do I go from there? So we work on those eye transitions. All right, we're going to work on our breaks. So we need to know how to plant our feet off of different things. Whether we're in a cover 2 type of coverage where our breaks are a little bit different, getting out to the sideline, or whether we're in cover 4 or cover 3. So we're gonna work on planting our foot and our breaks. All right, and we're always gonna work on finishing full speed through the drill. So a lot of our drills, we work finishes. So you'll see some clips of that later, but we're gonna always have those guys, whether it's a comeback, they're gonna shoot their hands like they're catching a ball. So our guys get used to swatting the flash and getting to those things. So we're running full speed and we're still having to play the drill. Because I don't know, he might put his hands up here, so I might need a wipe. He might come here, might be a back shoulder finish that he gives me at the end of that drill. So as I'm running full speed, we're incorporating multiple things within those drills. So daily must, we're gonna get footwork in, we're gonna get turns, pedals, DB tree, and what I try to do is get a main drill, a zone drill, block destruction, tackling, and then we're doing some kind of finish. So some of that is doing pre-practice, some of that is doing our indie time. So these are just some block destruction drills, just some snatches. This is actually pregame, so we get this stuff in pregame, and we get this stuff in indie as well. So these are just some finishes, so we're snatching off, staying in a good tackling position so that we can get to the ball carrier. All right, and this one is just a rapid fire, working on more of a firm tight end or a firm fit on the edge. So those are some of our block destruction drills, just getting through. Again, just stack footwork. So things that we can do on a stack so that we can get the max amount of reps. So we get our inch offs. All right, we get a progression, working lateral steps as we go. So we're gonna get reps, working our hands as we go through with our lateral steps. All right, we're getting into our skates. So now we're getting to our long arm, getting a chance to control that receiver as we make contact with them. All right, and then we have a finisher where we kind of put everything together as somebody's running a route, and then we're gonna high point the ball. So we're always gonna finish with some kind of ball action, whether it's a high point, whether it's a strip, whether it's a wipe. We're gonna finish with one of those actions as we go through. So these are some different clips of different finishing drills. So this guy right here ended up signing with the Panthers, played there for a little bit. So just some different finishes. So back shoulders, we work on those. We work on fade. We work on high ball wipes. So we got a bunch of different ones that we'll work with. So you see some of the high ball ones there. So this is another group of them. So working fade, back shoulder. So what we try to do is just make sure that we're reading those cues. So if that shoulder is coming back towards me, I know the ball's coming here. So now I'm just gonna play it with that close hand right here. I can play through the ball and I can play through the hand. I don't even have to turn around and look. If I know if his shoulder comes back to me, the ball's right there. So now I'm playing it here. If I'm out of phase a little bit, the ball's in front and his hands are coming here, now I'm going with my long arm. So we work those on a day-to-day basis. Again, we try to get to those 1,000 reps of mastery. It doesn't happen overnight. So you're gonna have to do those same mundane drills over and over and over again to get to those 1,000 reps of mastery. So this is, I think, the high ball drill. So they're working their high ball, working the wipe, getting through, making sure that we're trying to get through, ball separate the hands away so that he can't make a one-handed catch. So a lot of times that happens in the red zone, on those high balls in the red zone. So this is some gameplay. So again, this is that same kid that you saw doing this drill. Now he's with the Panthers, and you see him make a play in camp. Not the cleanest thing, but again, he's fighting all the way to the ground and ripping that ball out. All right, this is a couple years ago, St. Aug, end of the game, safety coming in, high ball, he wipes it out, and we get out of here. All right, so the next progression that we do, we work through a tackle progression. So we're always gonna go without contact first and all the stuff that we do. So we're trying to get our bodies in a position to make a tackle before we're actually running through and being physical with the tackle. So right now we're working closing to the ball. We're working near foot, near hip. So we're trying to get our hip foot down, getting a good tackling position, so then I can roll my hips through a tackle and have some good contact. So these are guys closing through. All right, so you're gonna see them, they're coming from a cover four perspective, so they're taking their read step, they see run, and now they're triggering. So we're gonna take everything that they have to do on a regular play, and we're gonna insert that into the drill. So they're not just sprint down, they're taking their read step, we're flat foot reading when we're in cover four. They're gonna take that step before they trigger. So just working through that part of it. All right, so now we get to a ball, now we get to an object, working the same thing. All right, we're trying to get them square, so you see me, I cut that part out, but just correcting them, getting square as opposed to turning and being sideways. We want to be as square as possible as we come through. All right, and now we're working on making contact with the ball. So now we're closing to the ball, all right, and now we're working together. So as we come into our fits, you know, we might be, a lot of times in our defense, we're going to be in the outside of that gap. We're going to have the wheel linebacker, or it might be the star that might be on the other side of that gap. So as we're closing to it, we're expecting that there's another guy that's coming into that gap with us. So we're making that contact and we're creating that vice tackle effect as our guys are coming. So they get used to, hey, when they run that downhill run and I'm on the outside of that gap, I know that there's my partner's coming to fit with me. So I'm going to stay on my leverage. I'm not going to let him cut out. I'm going to force it back into him. He's going to force him wide to me. Now we're going to have a big hit. So that works through it. All right, so now we're working on closing. So this is another drill I really love. It makes those guys work. All right, and we're reading it. So if that guy's shoulder is this way away from me, I know I have to sprint. Because he's gone, I'm gone. So if he's facing me, he turns, or he shudders, I know I have to start squaring up and then making sure I'm at a balance point as I still close. So I'm going to close ground whether he's sprinting away from me or he's coming downhill, but I got to make sure that I'm in a tackling position. So if he's sprinting, I'm sprinting. All right, if he's cut and he's facing me, I'm still closing ground, but now I'm squaring up on him so I can make a hit. So there's a couple different progressions of this drill as well. So we'll have them turn, and then we'll have them shutter down. So these guys are closing, and we're getting all the way to the hip. So when we're coming from the roof, you know, we're not just right there, right off the line of scrimmage making a tackle. So we're always having to work to get to it. So us doing different versions of a closing drill, from outside leverage, from inside leverage, all those different things. It's just how we have to play, especially playing in the city. So now this one, we're closing, and now we're making contact on a moving object. So I have these gray balls. I've been using them for years. It's effective. It keeps us getting contact, getting in those tackle positions without just thudding and killing each other, running into each other full speed. So I have to be able to close ground. I have to get my foot in the proper spot. If I'm leaning over too much and that ball gets to me, I'm going to hit the ground. So if they don't do the drill properly, then it's going to look funny. And then they don't want their teammates clowning. So we got a couple different ones where we're closing and we're always getting our hips down, ready to explode through the tackle. So seeing the closing. So now we'll get to the game application. So all those things that we do in practice, those things should show up on film when we're playing, right? So look here, you can see the free, plant, he's closing, running through it. All right, ends up being a big hit. All right, so now you can see the rover here. We got 2x2 set. He's still gonna take his steps. He's planting, he's coming down, he's closing, he's running through the gap. All right, he's gonna keep his feet moving. So that's how we teach it, and that's how it applies in game when we're doing it. Let's see another one here. Going through, closing, leg tackle. So all those different movements that we've done in preparation and the progression of it, you see it show up in game time in real speed. All right, so these are some of the drills that we do for working different route concepts at the top of the route in different coverages. So for us, focusing on what we're doing, we're playing a little bit more man coverage. That's one of the things that we were struggling with a little bit with our guys. So for me to give them as many reps as possible to get into that mastery, to know when do I need to open up, what does that cushion look like, all right, how am I going to turn my knee and my toe, how am I going to do all that stuff. I have to give them enough reps to get comfortable doing it. So this is what we've been doing every day through spring development and through spring practice, just getting them opportunities to, now I have to open up because I'm at that top of the route. So if I'm in man coverage and I'm off, he's already eating up my cushion. Now I'm just working on the transition phase of me getting to his hip and staying on top in the coverage. So these are two different coverages. You can see our leverages are a little bit different. You see we were a little bit tighter in this clip. We're a little bit wider in this clip. I'm not going to say what that coverage is called, but you can tell that we're working a different technique. I have to know if I'm in a tight man situation or if I'm in zero, I'm a little bit further away from him, so I have to take more steps to get to him. So I have to be comfortable closing that ground and still seeing his hip, still keeping my leverage, and as I work to him. All right, so these are hip reads. This is another thing at the top of the route for us. So we know when that guy plants his foot, he has to go the opposite way. So when we're seeing that last foot plant, it could be a double plant. We already know we're going to be patient and we're going to wait till that actual weight is on that last foot that he plants. Because I know once he puts that heavy weight on that foot, he has to go the opposite way, so I'm going to mirror his foot. So if his left foot plants, my same foot's going to plant, and I'm driving the opposite direction. So this is how we're planting on comebacks, we're planting on slants, all those different things when we're on top. So this is what it looks like. So they have to read the plant, and they have to trigger downhill. Now, if they go the wrong way, they got to pay the piper. They're getting those 5, they get those 10 if it's really egregious. So as we get to it, they get smoother and smoother and smoother as it goes. All right, so this is the next one. So again, we do doubles, we'll do triples, because receivers like to do those. Go up, come back down. So we do all that stuff. They get those looks in practice because she's just out. So we know that they're going to do those. So we get them those reps of it in practice. So if the first time they see it is in a game where somebody does a double up, what's going to happen? They're going to trigger, boom, that dude's going to be gone. He's going to be in the end zone dancing. This HBCU, so the band playing, the cheerleaders dancing, all that good stuff. So we got to make sure that they're prepared for that. So this is our pedal progression. So they're going to get a visual cue as they're pedaling, and then their eyes are going to transition. They're going to plant. You're going to see their toe turn, and now they're sprinting to that next cone, and then they're going to square back up, working back on their pedal again, and then they're planting and they're going. So we're working eye transition, especially in college. You have to play with your eyes. You have to know what's happening. You have to be able to read. We can't just have our eyes down, just looking at the grass. We have to be able to plant and react based off of what we see. So this is one of those drills. We see their eyes, see their heads are turning, they're looking at the target, and they're going. So they're pedaling, boom, transition. We want to make sure we're not overextending as we plant. We want to be able to get our foot right at our hip so that we can go forward. If I'm pedaling and I plant my foot under my hip, I'll automatically stop. Now I'm able to get my next foot in the ground and I can come forward. So all those things are just incorporated in the same drill. We also have a shuffle progression where we're working on our lateral steps, planting and breaking off our outside foot and getting to the next target. So this is a shuffle break. So we try to make sure that they're not hopping. So some of these guys you see as we go, they're hopping instead of taking steps. So those are the things that we're trying to get out of it so that we're working and we're planting and getting that second foot in the ground as fast as we can. So just trying to work on that stuff, still working with our eyes and still transitioning to our target. So if that man, he's stemming outside and I'm working to him, and then he planted to run a slant, I can plant that same foot and now I'm tripping. So when we're coming forward, these are all routes that are breaking in front of us. It could be a curl, it could be a comeback, it could be a slant. We're breaking on those routes that are in front of us off of our lateral step. All right, so now we are going back. So now we have a lateral step to him, boom, he ran the post, now I planted, I opened up, I got on the set. He could be running the corner, so I could step, I might have to open up the other way. So this is working on that, trying to get our eyes to that top shoulder as we break. So another form of that, I use these shoots that we made just to make sure that they're not cheating their body posture. So a lot of times our safeties are a little bit longer, they tend to want to stand up a little bit more. If you're standing straight up, you have no power to be able to get up out of there and move. So we want to make sure that they're used to being down and they're used to working their feet laterally. They can't plant but certain ways when they're under the chute, or they'll end up tripping. So they're going to stay under that chute, they're going to work their feet, all right, and then they're going to break off the stimulus. So they don't know if it's going to be a post, if it's going to be a corner, if it's going to be an out in front of them, or if it's going to be a slant. So they have to read it, and then they have to plant, and then they have to drive to it. So that just gives me a way to just give them some reps of getting good posture, and then having a break where they can't step across their self, they can't step too forward, they have to be able to plant around their hip, and then transition their body. All right, so another look at the same drill. So you can see some of them are a little bit more hesitant than others. You know, everybody, you can kind of see the depths of the different people when you go through the roster. We're all getting the same work, but everybody's gonna look a little bit different. Some of those guys are younger, learning the technique. Some of them are a little bit older. All right, so these are some game clips of just us working that same footwork and seeing how it works out. So working, boom, planting, driving, attacking the ball, making a great pick. All right, so our guys understanding our coverages as well, knowing what leverages that they can work at and where their help is. So now they're working to that leverage. All right, I want to end up over here with a bracket up top, which is what you see. So we know, boom, he's going to take his run read. He's going to see there's no run. Boom, there's no mesh. Now my eyes are out. Now I'm working to absorb that and get a bracket there. All right, it's not going to always look the best, but if we're in a close enough position, then we make those windows really tight for the quarterback to fit it into. All right, this is another one, 2x2. So we can see our free kind of take his lateral step, absorb the route by the receiver. He still hit the hip with them. Now the receiver just like, I'm just going to just pull up a little bit right here. So ball thrown, he's in position here, we're underneath here, and now we're in a good position. So this. So I think this is a bracket on a vertical. So we end up closing the post. So one of our big philosophical things in our defense, Coach Tripp is really big on, is we want to protect the post at all times, right? So as you look at our rover, he's going through his read, he gets outside release, he doesn't have anything on his side, so he's going to start working back to close the post, so that if for some reason this slot gets away from the free, now there's another line of defense there. So he's working back to the post with his eyes, and he's closing that window down. So I wanted to leave some time for anybody if they had any questions. Questions?
Should we look like there, Coach? We look forward in sizes.
Sizes, typically we want guys that are over 6 foot. We want those 6 foot plus guys. We want 180 plus guys. Now, we're not always going to get that. We're going to look at the traits of our DBs. We're going to look at, are they physical, first and foremost? Are those guys going to shy away from contact? Do they have foot speed? What is their trait that's going to help them to be successful at Johnson C. Smith? So I have a kind of a thing, if they're taller than me, I have a shot. You my height or shorter, you're gonna have some problems. So, you know, we try not really to bring guys in that are under 5'10", but you know, we want to get to that 6 foot 180 type of metric with those safeties. You have questions? All right. Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and yeah, looking forward for next year where this is gonna be even bigger.